Welcome everyone to episode number 217 of NoCoders Office Hours. I'm your host, Tanya, and we're here with our guest, Narayan, and member Suchitra. We're going to get started in just a moment, but first I want to let you know a little bit about NoCoders Office Hours, which comes with our developer membership. If you join at pronocoders.com to the developer membership, you get access to 6 NoCoders office hours every week, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 10 a.m. Pacific time, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6 p.m. Pacific time, and then we have a second session on Mondays at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time. And what it is we invite our members onto our Zoom and we record the session, and they can ask us any bubble questions that they want, and we do our best to get them answered. Of course, we can't promise all of the answers because nobody has all of the answers, but we do our best. We get it right most of the time, and we do promise you won't suffer with your problem alone. So we're going to go ahead and get started here with Narayan. You said you had plenty of questions, so let's start with one of them.
Sure.
And
Thanks so much.
Feel free to take over sharing the screen. So.
Yeah, I will. Yeah. All right. Can you see my screens?
I can. It's still. I don't see any writing yet, but
yeah.
I see your tabs. There we go.
All right. Sure. All right. Okay. So basically, I'm from the travel industry, and I'm trying to build a SaaS application where there are three types of users, basically: the app owner and the app admin. Second is the actual customers, which are travel agencies, and the third are travel suppliers. So it's a marketplace that I'm currently building. I have a few questions around that itself. So how do I structure this in the database and the privacy policy? And secondly, super admin should also be able to access all the admins, other admins' rights, etc. So this is one question. Related to that, there's another question in this. How do I create a company if it is, let's say, a subscription based, then probably they would make a payment. So and after which they can register their company. But if it is at no cost, how do I ensure that there's no duplication of that travel agency or that customer? Was another question related to creating this. So how do I create this in the database?
Sure. All right, I will take over sharing my screen.
Sure.
And so the first question about all of your different user types and how do you create roles, I like option sets for this. So in all of my apps, I will have an option set called role. And then the roles.
Sorry to interrupt, Tonya. Do we get to see this recorded version of us?
Yep, it's recording right now, and afterwards okay. I'll send you a copy of the recording.
All right. Thanks so much. Yeah.
You're welcome. So have you ever built with option sets before?
Yes, I've tried options, but I understand, and I'm very, very new in Bubble, just about 2 or 3 weeks old. And I was told if it is multiple people accessing, for example, the suppliers need to upload their own inventory, etc. It is best to create the same in the data type rather than in option sets.
Right. So if you need the data to be changed from the front end of the app, then you wouldn't make it in an option set. Option sets are for things that are a bit more static or in the app. And usually your roles are fairly static, so that's why an app admin role here and a standard role works. But you could switch that around for your, you could have super admin, then you could change this one to be admin. Then you could add an agency level. And then I think you said those are the three.
Okay, so within one for the app owner, yes, correct. That's right.
Okay, so then
supplier is another.
Yeah, so then the question becomes, how do you give these different roles different permissions in the app? And there's two main ways. In your privacy rules, you could make it so that, so for instance, for this conversation thing, most all of my apps will have an admin rule in privacy rules. The admin can see everything, right? So I would say current users role is admin, and then I might say or super admin, right? Current users role is super admin, and then I would say current user is logged in. It's important to say the is logged in part, right? And then they can see everything. So privacy rules basically means when you query Bubble's database where all of your information is being stored, it will return only what the user's permissions are per the privacy rules. So this is a way to keep the data from ever coming to the user's browser at all. Then the other way to control what users see is generally on page load for in your pages. You can have a workflow here that when the page is loaded, you can say in your actions here, go to page, usually the index page. This is the index, so this would create a loop, so I won't actually leave this here. But on any other page, you would say, go to index only when the current user isn't the right role, right? So current user's role, somewhere in here, I'll just type it, is not a super admin or like and not admin. So like, or you could say in this case is agency. You could just navigate them away from the page, and that way they wouldn't have access to the page.
Sure.
Yep. So that's tackling the first part of your question. The other one third way of doing it is if you want all of your roles to have access to the page, but only certain roles have access to certain actions, you would just put that as conditionals on the elements and on the workflows. So you could say have a menu for like somebody going to a profile page. They would be able to see the profile, but they wouldn't be able to edit it unless they were an admin, for instance, right?
Well, sure.
And then what was the second part of your question again?
How do we ensure that a company, it doesn't get registered twice or thrice?
Got it.
Yeah.
So my favorite way of doing that is there's two ways. So what I could do is I can come into my data types. I'll create a company. I don't think I had a company before. Yep. So company, and the company is going to have a name of type text. So each company is going to have a name. So you're talking about several users from the same agency would have the same company, right?
Yeah.
So you could also say team members or users, right, of type user. and make it a list and store it on that company.
Mm-hmm.
So my guess is the person who creates the company in your app would be the one to add team members to the app, right? So you wouldn't just have random people coming and signing up under this company, right? They would have to be invited to the company, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so that's the first thing in terms of not creating duplicate companies, is because the person who created the company is going to be inviting specific users to the app. So those users won't be creating companies. They'll just be joining the company on the app from an invitation that is sent from the app, right? But for someone new who's signing up and is creating a company, the way you could prevent them from signing up the same company would be with conditionals. So we'll just make a new one. No duplicates. So I can do this a couple different ways. The first is I'm just going to have an input here for the company name, and I'll have a button here just to save it to the database. And so the button will be save. And this is going to create a new thing called company. And it's going to save the name as the input's value. And then after that, I'm going to set the slug of the thing. So I'll go to data and I'll set a thing slug. And the thing that I'll set is the result of step 1. And I'll set the slug probably to be the same thing as the input, right? Value, like that. And when you use a thing's slug, it makes it unique. That slug is going to be unique in the database, right? So I think, yeah. And so there's 2 things here. So now what I want to do is I want to create a new company only when do a search for company where the name equals the input's value. Count is less than 1, right? And then it won't let you save something with the same slug, right? The slug will have to be unique as well. So this will mean if I come in here and I do a repeating group of companies, and then here, say current sales company's name. And slug here. Then if I preview, then I can say company 1. And so I have company 1, and then this is its slug here. And then if I try to save that again, it doesn't create a new one. But if I say company 2, it does save it, right?
Right.
And so then I could tell the person if there's, I can say in this workflow, I could take this condition and put it on the workflow itself instead of in here. And then I can copy and paste. And then I could come in here and I say if it's greater than 0, Then I want to show a pop-up. Right. And so now this one, just show this pop-up instead. And that way your user knows they have to pick a different company name when they're creating it. Did you follow along with that okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect done. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Awesome. Perfect. We will circle back for your next question after we take a few more.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Or did you have any questions about what I just covered, either the privacy or this one?
No. This was just perfect.
Okay, awesome. Suchitra, did you have a question for this evening?
Yeah. Let me share my screen.
Yeah, of course. Go ahead and take over. Suchitra, did you want to go ahead and take over sharing the screen?
Yeah, 1 second. I'll share.
No worries.
Can you see my screen?
I can.
Yeah. Here I'm displaying a list of sales in a repeating group.
Okay.
So I use pagination. So each time I'm displaying 10 records.
Okay.
Yeah. Each time I'm displaying 10 records. If I go to second, then it goes to second page, next set of records. This is done in an old responsive engine. So where I can say, like, if I click on this, I'm setting that condition. Go to page.
Mm-hmm.
This one. Go to page thing. So I converted this into reusable element, same thing. But here I'm getting error, like it's not possible. Means go to page is not possible.
Oh, because it's in the...
And this is in a new
needs
responsive engine.
So if you go into the repeating group itself,
Mm-hmm.
it has to be so you have the set fixed number of rows. I've never tried to do pagination in the new responsive engine.
Okay.
I'm not sure I know how, if I'm honest. One second. Let me just check something real fast. Can you also set fixed number of columns? Or no? Would that mess things up?
Oh, yeah.
That seems to have taken care of the issues.
This one. Okay, let me check in the front end. Yeah, I think it's working now.
Awesome.
I think I have one more.
Sure.
Not for this user. I guess for this one. Yeah, here. So the first column, the height is neatly done. From the second onwards, it's increasing. I use the same reusable element.
Okay, so oh, the height is increasing from the second one?
Yeah, yeah.
In the new responsive editor or the old?
Yes.
Yeah, the new responsive.
Yeah, new responsive.
Can you show me the problem again on the page?
This one.
This is the same issue that Ritesh and I were suffering with like a month and a half ago.
Oh.
So, and it has to do, I think, with the parent groups have to be just right in order for them to collapse the way that you need them to. Let me see if I can find it. I'll share my screen while I look, so it won't be me talking about something. So I'm going to go back. I think it was in the December. There it is.
Stop whatever you are doing. It is time to take care of the cat litter. Check their waters and food. Take your medicine and brush.
I feel like I'm a parent from like, I don't know, the future with Alexa telling my kid to brush her teeth. Okay, so new responsive repeating groups. So if we preview this page, you can't really tell as I don't have anything in there, but this is the header and this is the first column, and then these are all of the subsequent columns. And to get them to collapse just right, I had to, so that there wouldn't be, when it's not working, there's white space in between these because it's not collapsing all the way. And what I had to do was, if we follow the groups from the elements tree here, so we have a repeating group. So the page itself, the layout is important, that it was column here. And then the repeating group was set to a row. And then inside the repeating group, each of the groups here were set to rows, I think. Yeah. So the repeating group itself was set to be a row, and then each of the groups within it was set to be a row. And when I did that, it worked to collapse that extra height. When I had different settings, it didn't work. It was doing what yours is doing. You want to look at yours and see if we can see what's different with yours than mine?
Yeah. Yeah, in my case, that repeating group is column, and the group is row.
Can you switch it to being a row instead?
Yeah, okay. No.
It didn't work. So let's go
No.
back in and see if we can find what is causing that height expansion. Yeah, that would be important.
No. Oh, maybe with the height.
Yep, maybe the height has to be. You probably want to fix the height, right? You wouldn't want it to be.
It should be fixed height. Yeah,
There you
now
go.
it's coming. Maybe for that. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. Hi, Harsha. Do you have any questions today?
Hi, Tanya. No questions.
No?
Thank you.
Okay. And Guru Prasad, do you have any?
No questions.
No? Okay.
No.
Then we'll circle back to you, Narayan. Do you have any more questions?
Yes, I do, Tonya. Okay, so
Perfect.
my next question was, let's say a travel agent makes a booking. I've already integrated with a payment gateway like Stripe. So how do I store the booking information, like the passenger or the traveler details which gets captured, the payment details all put together, so that I store it for my information and record, and so also the travel agent gets all these details over an email. Where do
In an
I,
email.
or how do I store it?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I would do is in your database, hang on just a sec. So I'm going to pop back into the January sandbox. So we're going to call this a booking, and a booking is going to have certain details, right? So the first detail is probably going, we'll just say the date of the booking, and then the customer, which is probably going to be a separate type or something, like maybe the customer name. And you can make any of these things that you want, right? So, but you would have it all fit into the booking. Now, is your booking going to have different, like as a travel agent, is the booking something that you would consider like the whole trip? Like you're doing,
Yes.
like you're right. So you're probably going to have like the venues, like you're going to have different date ranges for venues and things like that, where someone will be staying, different
Yeah.
activities that they're doing, things like that. So you can
Yeah.
make the booking as complicated as you want. The thing to note is if it's going to have more than one of something, that's going to have a list of properties in and of itself. For instance, if I'm booking a 2-week trip and I'm going to stay in 3 different hotels, right? Each one of those would be kind of a sub booking, right? Underneath the same trip, right?
Correct.
So then you would make another thing in the database to represent that. and added back to the main booking, right? So let's just do that. Let's say here, we'll call it, right? And we can say hotel name, for instance. All right, and then say, so the first thing is you're going to have a form for them to fill out to create the things in the database itself.
Correct.
So we'll have an input, and we'll also have a date time picker. So it said on the booking, customer name and date, and then on the sub booking, hotel name. All right, and then so I'm going to put a group around these three inputs here, and I'm making the type of content of this group of inputs and button to be a booking. But I'm not setting its data source, because when I click this button here, it's going to create a booking, and then it's going to send that booking into this, and these inputs here into this group.
This would be on the same page, is it?
Well, you're going to do it however it makes sense
Okay.
for your
Sure.
user experience. This is just
Okay.
like
Sure.
how we're going to add
Okay.
things to the database, right?
Sure.
So then now what we're going to do is we're going to have a button here to send an email. So this first button is going to create a new thing in the database called a booking. It's going to set the customer name to be the customer input name here. That's what we want. Let me just come in here just to be sure. Yep. So customer input, and then we'll say the date is going to be the date picker's value. Then after we create that booking, we're going to display data in the group booking, and it'll be the result of step 1. Then this, what we want to do is disable this input. We don't want them to be able to change it. And we want to set the initial content to be the parent group's bookings customer's name. And that's how we'll know we're successful. When we create the booking, the customer's name will show up here. And that's how we know we were successful in creating the booking. And then we'll be able to add the hotel name to it, right? So create the sub booking. So on this button, what we're going to do is create a new thing in the database called the sub booking. And we're going to say the hotel's name is going to be the input hotel's name value. And then we're going to add a new field here right? So this is another place where you can add fields. You could do it from here. I could add it here and create a new field, or sometimes it's easier just to create it as you're working. So I'm going to create a new field here, and I'm going to call it booking, and it will be of type booking. And we're going to say parent groups booking, and that's going to create a sub booking that belongs to the parent groups booking. But we're also going to make changes to the initial booking thing and the database. Called sub bookings here. We're going to create a field of type sub booking and make it a list. And we're going to add the sub booking that we just made. So the result is step 1. So now this way, the sub booking will always refer back to the original booking, and the booking will keep a list of all of its own sub bookings, right? So then let's do, yeah. And so finally, we're going to, after we create the things in the database, this is where it's created for your records, right? And also for your user to come back and look at their previous booking information, it will be stored. But then in this button here, we can send them an email with that information. So we can say, send email. And we want to send email to whoever you want. You could probably say current user's email. For this, I'll just send it to myself. And then booking details. Now we're going to insert dynamic data, and we're going to take that group booking data, and we're going to say bookings customer name, and then we can say for insert group bookings date formatted here. So now I'm going to say so-and-so for this date, right? And then I can start putting in the sub booking information, right? So I can say here, group bookings, sub booking, first items, hotel's name.
Actually, I think I'm watching another screen.
Which screen are you watching?
The workflow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Here, can you
Okay.
see?
Yeah. Now I can. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yep. So I'm going to come back in here. I'm going to add an apostrophe S here. So so-and-so's booking, I can even say booking for a date, and then I can say the hotel name, right? So this is how you can build an email with all of the dynamic data that you want to say, right? And you can intersperse static text for dynamic text, right? So now let's just test this. So I'm going to preview. So customer's name is going to be Tanya, and it'll be for February 6th. And I'm going to create the booking. So now we know the booking was created because it changed here. Now the hotel name, it's going to be an Airbnb. And I'm going to create the sub booking. And then we know this is working when we go back into the database. If I go into my app data and I look at all of my bookings, I should have one booking for February 6th. And then I should have one sub booking, which the hotel name is Airbnb, right? So now if I click this send email button here, I should receive an email that says that information in it. So if I come in here, so this came from my Bubble app. Booking details, Tanya's booking for February 6, 22 Airbnb. Did that answer?
Wonderful. Yeah, wonderful. Okay, so Tonya, since the actual content will be much more, can that be converted into a PDF and then email?
Yes, we are working right now. We have one video in our vault about how to create PDFs. I can check with Pablo and see if it's good for emailing. I know he's working on another one because there are several different plugins you can use to convert information into PDFs from Bubble.
Okay.
The one, depending on how complicated it is and how much formatting you need and how pixel perfect you need it to be, and whether or not you need to do it in back-end workflows versus front-end workflows. Those are all considerations you would make, but it is absolutely possible to send PDFs in emails from Bubble. So.
Okay. One more question regarding the same. Can an email be triggered? One would be received by the travel agent, but can the actual traveler also receive that email confirmation, but with the travel agent's email ID rather than the applications?
Yes. So when I schedule an email to run, to be sent, I can say the sender name, right?
Right.
And I can also, yeah. And I don't know that you can send on behalf. Maybe we could do reply to a different email address.
Yeah.
And this doesn't change the email address that it's coming from.
Right.
But I think it is possible if they give you permission or something to that effect. There's probably a plugin that allows you to fake the email address that it's coming from.
Got it. Sure. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'm going to just check and see if I do plugins here. Get mail. Yeah, you can do this. So this is a free plugin from AirDev, which is the company I work for. So they have a plugin called Email for Canvas, but you don't have to be using their Canvas template for this to work. I've tested it in non-Canvas template Bubble apps. And so you can just, you can install this, and once you put in either your SendGrid or your Postmark API keys, then you can use it to send emails. And it looks like in this one, you can say that you can designate the from email address. So it looks like in here, so I said SendGrid here, so let me type Postmark instead. I don't know if this is true for Postmark, if you have to do it for Postmark, but it looks like it's something that you could work out to be able to do.
Sure. It was really very helpful, Tanya. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. My pleasure. Does anybody else have any other questions for this evening?
Yes, I have.
Yep, go for it.
So I used the plugin called chart bar / line to display the sales as in bar. I mean, how many sales have been commissioned or commission ready for the particular month.
Okay.
So I used this condition before. I mean, I club those two. Let's say in the first condition, I'm checking for commission ready and commission is equals to no. And the other condition is commission is ready and commission is also ready.
Hmm.
So when I club those two, I'm getting some, but not in the month wise. Is that the reason why?
So
So
I'm
then
sorry, I'm
what
not.
I,
So when
okay,
you're searching for sales, I'm sorry, I'm not
sales.
understanding the problem. It's not breaking it down by month. Is that what you said?
Yeah, it's not breaking it into month.
Okay, but we're in a text search as opposed to, can you show me the screen again? The preview?
Preview, sorry, the previously I have done like this. I mean, I used this expression in the plugin. It was
Right.
not working. Then what I did is I use instant calculator for each month. I have 12 for each
Hmm.
month. So then I use that expression here, separated with comma.
Got it.
Yeah, then it's working. If I use the entire expression in a single stitch, it's not working.
Got it. But did you get it working the way that you wanted to, or you still haven't?
No, for me, it is working fine now, but I want to know why it's not working if I use this entire expression.
Oh, I don't know the answer. I'm not sure. I'm not as familiar with this plugin as I could be, I guess. Um,
Oh,
but my guess is it's you, by separating out each expression, you were giving it the key value
yes,
pairs, right? So you were giving
yes,
it the
yes,
X value and the Y value. So
yeah.
yeah. But I'm glad you got it working.
Sorry?
I'm glad you got it working.
Yeah, it's working now.
Yeah,
Okay, I have one more.
sure.
I use this pop-up, which is reusable element in the page.
Okay.
So this reusable element is in new responsive engine. The page is in old responsive engine.
Right.
So I just place it here, and if I preview this, I am getting it correctly. Means 500 width and 400 height. So if I do any changes in the reusable element, so I'll not get. I mean, in the front end, it's going back to the 200 and 200 height and width. Let's say I did some changes in the back end. I mean, in the reusable element. So in the front end, it's coming to 200 and 200.
Okay. So go back to the reusable
Yeah.
and click outside of it. All right. So you have, all right, and then go on the inside of that, go into, is there a group holding that or just that? Is there a group
Text.
around that or just that?
Sorry.
Is there, so is that the group where it says trial, that's just the text? It's not
Yeah.
in a group. You need a group around it that has the dimensions that you want.
Uh, no. If I place it only the text.
Hmm. I'm not sure I understand. So if you go to you want this pop-up to maintain the dimensions you have here, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so click outside of where you are, back into the reusable element.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you have the minimum width and minimum height.
Yeah.
That looks fine. But put the trial, the text element, right click, and put it in a group. Probably put it in, yeah. And then make that fixed, that group that holds it, make it fixed height and fixed width to the size that you want.
Okay.
And see if that works.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, better.
Is it because of the group?
Yep. So what it was is you had the minimum height and width on the reusable, but it needed something like it needed a group that was fixed width and fixed height to maintain.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any more questions for this evening?
Yes, Tanya, I have last one more question.
Sure.
Okay, so let me share my screen. One. Can you see my screen?
I can.
All right, sure. Okay, so basically, this is a Swiss rail pass. There are a few options that one can actually choose. Uh, there are two types basically of Swiss passes. One is a continuous, so which would mean 3 continuous days or 4 days or 15 days continuously, or a flexi pass. So either I choose a continuous or a flexi pass, and once I select that, there is a first class and second class two options again. And further, once I've selected the type of pass and class, then there are five different options: 3 days, 4 days, 6 days, 8 days, and 15 days. So once I choose that, then I select the total number of adults who would want to travel, number of children up to age of 16. It is free, and youth. So once I select all this, I should be able to derive the total pricing in Swiss francs and in Indian rupees. So this is what I've prepared it in the design part, but how do I create this in the workflow and the database?
Sure. Okay, so I think the easiest way to do this is probably to use custom states, right? So when they click on continuous, you would say you would have you ever worked with custom states before?
No, I haven't.
All right, let me share my screen and I'll show you what I mean.
Sure.
All right, so on the screen here, let's say I'm doing what you were showing. So I'm going to have a few buttons here. Right, and then I'm going to have the number of days. So for the number of days, I'm just going to put an input so that it'll be a little bit easier. An input can be here an integer, right? So this is type of pass here. I think you said continuous, and this is Flexi. And then this was first class and second class. Right? So describe to me a little bit about, like, is there a specific daily rate for continuous first class versus continuous second class?
Yes,
Right?
there are different rates for the number of days. Let's say I've chosen continuous and then first class, then I get an option of 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, 8 days, and 15 days.
And then
Different.
is it graduated rate? Like it's a certain rate for 15 days, but the 15 days is not the same daily rate as 1 day?
No, it is not based on pro rata. The rates are constant. Rates don't change, but those are not based on a pro rata basis, which basically
So
means that, yeah. So the
so the
rates are
daily,
fixed for
the,
the next 1 year also. Yeah.
okay, got it. Perfect. Okay, so then what I would recommend doing is is expressing these in an option set. So I would come into an option set here, and I would say rates OS.
Tanya, just one question. How do you get those icons? Now, for example, on the screen, admin option. Yeah. So how do you get that?
Oh yeah, it's really easy. It's so funny. It's you can copy any emoji from, like, you
What?
can go to Emojipedia or wherever you want,
Right.
and then you come to here and you would just put it, you can paste it.
I see. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, no worries. So so I'm gonna have a continuous first, right?
Yeah.
And continuous second.
Okay.
And then I'll have Flexi first and Flexi second.
Mm-hmm.
And then each of these is going to have, so I'm going to create attributes. So I'm going to say type, and the type will be of type, I think of type text. I guess I could put an option set in here, but I think I'll just go with text for now. So type would be text, and then class of type text, right? And then I would have rate, and the rate would be the daily rate, like the number, right? And so then for each of these, I'd modify their attributes. So continuous first, the class is first, the type is continuous, and then whatever the rate is, let's just say it's 100, just because 100 is easy. And then continuous second, I would say class is second, type is continuous, and the rate would be 50.
Yeah, I got this, but I think I've created the same in the data type. But
So,
how
but what you would do, yeah, no, I had to add it. I had to add it to my database to show you. So now when I click this button, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start and edit the workflow, and the workflow is going to
No,
set.
Tanya, my question is, how do I add adult, child, and youth prices in that? And there are different number of days, right? 3, 4, 5, 8, and 15. So where do I figure that those rates into it in the table?
Right, I'm showing you. If you give me a moment, I'll show you.
Oh yeah, sure, yeah, sure.
All right, so I'm going to set it. I'm going to set the state of the element, and here is, I'm going to set it on the page, and I'm going to create a new custom state called type, and the state type will be text. Actually, yeah, text. So, and then here, the text I'm going to put in will be continuous, right? And then when I click this button, I would change that same thing. So I can take this and I can copy it and I can paste it and change it to say, nope, if I click that button, then I want it to be flexi, right? And now I'm going to do the same with these buttons. We'll have a class, right? So we'll set the custom state here. I'm going to create a new one and I'll call it class. And this will be first. And then if I click this one, second. So now my app is keeping track of whether I clicked continuous or flexi. And depending on which one I clicked, it's going to be able to pull those option sets. And then I'll be able to take, you can set states, a state for how many days, right? So based on each of those other button clicks for the different days, right? So for me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just when this element, when this input is changed, I'm going to set a state. So I'll go to the workflow and I'll say, I'm just doing this for convenience. So when an input's value is changed, and the input would be the input D, when it's changed, what I want to do is I want to set a state for the number of days. And I want that to be a number. And then this input's value. So now what I'm doing is when I can show in this text here, so the first thing I can do is I can come back and I can say type, and then I'll put in travels type, and I can do class, and it will be travels class, and then I can say days, and it will be travels days. Right? And so if I preview this, now I can say continuous. So the type is continuous because I clicked continuous, but I can switch it to flexi or back to continuous. And then first is second. And then I can type in a number of days here and it'll pick that up. So now I have these, I can work with these states to do the calculation that I need for the total, right? Because when I want to add a button here at the bottom here that says book, or I can actually do the math here, right? So I'm in here and I can say total and I can do the formula, right? So I can say when I can get an option rates, option is, how do I do this? Continuous. This is the tricky part, is how do I grab the option that I want? All options, filtered, This rates class is travels class. And then paste. This rates type is travels type. First items rate, and then I'm going to multiply that by travels days. Right, and then if I come into here and I put, I'm just going to use the US dollar because it's what I'm used to.
Yeah.
And then I just format that with a decimal place of 2 and 1,000 separator here because that's what we do here. So then I can go preview. So I think I did the continuous one. So if I do continuous first for 5 days, then it gives me a total of 500.
Wow. All right.
Got it?
Yep. That was so helpful.
I'm happy to help.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Right, we're going to go ahead and wrap up office hours, but don't go anywhere just yet. We're going to go into after hours. For those of you watching, if you would like to join us for after hours, which is when we turn off the recording and turn on the cameras and just talk about Bubble, you have to join. It means you need to go to pronocoders.com and sign up for the developer membership, which comes with office hours. It's $119 per month, and you get 6 sessions per week, access to 6 sessions of office hours every week. So please do go join. We'd love to meet you and help answer your Bubble questions.